Hello, welcome back to Turntable Guy. On the bench today we have another beautiful Pioneer deck. This time we've got a PL-117D. This is a belt drive, fully automatic. It's part of the, I guess we could call it the 1-1 series. There's 112, 115, 117, 110, all similarly styled in various levels of automation, I suppose you could say. Some are direct drive, some are belt drive. This is a belt drive unit, and it has just come in for a full service. As far as I know, things are functioning well on it. Let's just have a quick look. The gentleman's actually moving out east, and we're going to service this before he heads off into retirement in Eastern Canada. So, it's a little bit of a rush job, but we'll get it done today. Okay, so like I mentioned, fully automatic. I'm not sure if the belt's on. No, the belt is not on. I did have a quick look at it when he dropped it off. I always like to see what I'm dealing with. Now, one of the things I did notice, and I did mention to him as well, is if you can see over here, we have tons of belt shavings. And that is usually because either the motor spindle is either too high or too low. And what's happening is the speed changer mechanism might be shaving on the belt. Now, if we have a look at the belt, I don't see any serious damage here. So it could be maybe the previous belt, if this belt's been changed. It does feel relatively new. And it's not shiny, which is a good sign, meaning it's still dull in appearance, so it's probably a new belt. But we're going to clean off those shavings anyway. I'm going to check to make sure that that speed changer is in the correct position, because it will shave the belt and will damage it. It won't take long for you to shave it down, and that's something you definitely don't want to happen. So anyway, let's give it a test and see how it's functioning. Okay, so like I mentioned, fully automatic, but it should work in manual mode as well, and it does. Okay, let's test the automatic. I'm just going to put the arm up so the needle doesn't drop on the table, and we hit start. That's a bit sticky. There we go, there's our automatic movement. Okay. So let's just check to see if it goes down. It does. And let's check our auto return. It does trip. And the arm returns. It's a little low. It's hitting the armrest on the way back. So our cueing could probably go up a little bit. Either that, or we can drop down the position of the arm as well. But we'll check that a little bit later as well. In the meantime, we're going to give this thing a service. So, let's see what we got here for a cartridge. No, that's an original. Whenever you see a Pioneer turntable of this vintage with an XL cartridge, it is 100% original. That's what these things came. Holy crap, this thing's filthy. That's a lot of dirt. Anytime you see it, like I said, an XL cartridge, it's going to be original. These are not great cartridges. They're okay. They'll make noise and everything. So the gentleman has already ordered a brand new Audio-Technica AT-VM95E, which he's having delivered here, and I'm going to install it. But just out of curiosity, I just want to see what the overhang is set at. Because on a Pioneer deck like this, we should have a distance of 14.9 millimeters from the tip of the diamond to the gasket. So just out of curiosity, provided this has never been actually moved, but you can tell this has never been touched. It's right on. So there you go, 49 millimeters right out of the factory. Anyway, we're going to set that aside, even though it's probably going to go bye-bye, and we'll start our service. Okay, so we remove our plotter mat. And we'll get our platter and belt off. And you know you got a good belt when, like I mentioned, it sticks to the inside platter and there's plenty of stretchiness, right? What you don't want is a belt that is too bloody tight that's going to pull on the motor and pull the spindle in and cause premature wear, right? That's what you don't want. So the belt's got to be the perfect amount of elasticity in order to get good speed as well. Okay, we're just going to check our spindle. It actually feels good. I'm pretty sure Pioneer used a grease on these, if I remember correctly. It feels okay. It's definitely lubricated. So, but we'll still, we're going to service that. It wants to go around again. It's turning it the wrong way. Okay, even though there's an arrow there. Okay, and as you can see there are a couple oiling spots on the top of that motor. I'm going to pause for 1 sec. There's one thing I want to do before I even start working on this. Hang on 1 sec. Okay, we're going to take care of this right now. Good. You just don't need those flakes of belt getting anywhere or anywhere that we don't want debris, right? So, okay. All right, we need our lid. Now the dust cover's seen better days. It's pretty foggy. We'll take our screws off here. Things have picked up a little bit recently. I've gotten a few more turntables. I actually have gotten in something that I can't repair for a gentleman. It was unfortunate. It was a dual CS5000. I actually started filming some of it, and unfortunately it requires a motor. The motor coils were actually blown out on it. It's a bit of a chintzy motor. The CS5000 is a beautiful looking turntable, but it's extremely overrated for what it does, and unfortunately I could not repair it for the gentleman, and he was more interested in actually keeping the cartridge than the turntable. So I've got it. I put it into storage because the chances of finding a motor are next to impossible. Chances of repairing the windings are next to impossible. And it needs a new Hall sensor as well, which is available from Dualfred in Germany. So, but anyway, it's just not worth the time and effort. I'll keep it for parts. If another one shows up, you know, for repair, I've got some parts. It's too bad because it is a beautiful table, but like I mentioned, the sound quality of it doesn't justify the price or the asking prices on the used market right now. So anyway, back to our Pioneer. On all these Pioneers, there's going to be a ground cable. And that is basically the grounding. This whole bottom here has almost like a foil on it, and it acts as a shield. So you have to remove this ground. And you're going to see the usual beautiful Pioneer quality of build here. This is a fully automatic, so there's a lot going on here. There's going to be lots of levers and dials and all the rest of it, and all this auto return mechanism. But one thing you're going to see a whole lot of is metal. This is a suspended chassis as well, and you can adjust the height of the springs as to how much absorption you need or want. So that's kind of nice. Other than that, it's got a muting switch. You know, this, if you look, what don't you see? You don't see grease, right? You don't see any sticky grease, which is fantastic. That means things are not going to gum up, and we're not going to oil anything on it because it's great the way it is. I do see just a little bit of leaking over here. This is the queuing mechanism that lifts the arm, and there's just a smidge of silicone oil that naturally leaks out. But the arm's lifting and lowering nicely, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to service the motor. And you guys know how to service AC motors by now, but for you who are new to the channel or are just tuning in for the first time because you have one of these turntables and would like to know how to service it, we're going to go through it. So this is your classic AC motor. High quality units. Is there a date on this one? March 17th, 1976. There you go. Not quite 50 years old. One thing you want to check is the suspension for the motor. These are okay. They're still pliable, which is good. Uh-oh. I think Mr. Screwdriver needs its third charge. Yeah, it's starting to die. Okay, so all you need to do is undo those 3 screws. Okay, we're going to flip it over, and we still have quite a bit of belt depth down here. Let's see here. I'm going to remove that. Actually, let me remove this plate first. And I get my Sharpie because I like to mark things, because I have a bad habit of putting things on backwards and then having to take them apart again once I'm done working. I'm just going to mark this as well. Just do that. Put a little mark here. And just going to brush that away. All right, so you're usually going to have a couple screws and nuts holding this in. Here's our nut, here's our screws. I don't have my nut driver kit here today, so we're going to have to use ugly pliers. Yeah, I know. It's not the end of the world. So you want to remove your nuts because we're going to lubricate the bottom and top bearings. You can lubricate the top bearings, like I mentioned, from the oil slots, and that's what we'll probably end up doing actually. But I like to put a little drop on the actual spindle itself. Okay, so we'll put a little mark here, like this, just like that. I'm going to pop this out, and I'll put a little mark. Oh, let's go with a different color, shall we? For the top, let's put blue for the top. There. You might think it's childish, but it's just what I like to do because I make mistakes like everybody else. And boy, do you get called out on it if you make a mistake on the internet. Okay, there's our bottom bearing. And just like you would think, there's probably no lubrication left. You can see how this rotor has been drilled here for perfect balance as it's spinning. That's quality, folks. We'll take out our top here and see how it spins. Not bad. So I like to put a little drop on the motor spindle there. You see right there, just underneath, right there. And then here's our oil point. There's only one. And what happens is, underneath this, or actually within it, there is a felt or a sponge or something like that. And what it does is it soaks in the oil and keeps that sponge or felt nice and wet with oil, and it permanently lubricates the top bearing. The problem is that the bottom bearing, this puppy here, doesn't get that same treatment. There were some motors that actually had tubes that carried the oil to the top and bottom bearings on some old duals. That's really, really nice. With this one, you're just going to have to remove it and lubricate it. So to do this, what do we use? I've had a lot of people ask me questions about this stuff. Now, if 3-in-1 wants to sponsor a video, by all means, send me an email or leave me a message, because I've been touting this product ever since I started my channel. This stuff's great for electric motors. You can use it on your furnace, all sorts of stuff. And I want to just say right now, this is not sponsored, okay? It's just what I've been using. And it's great for turntable motors like this. Really does a great job, okay? So let's do the bottom first. And what you want to do is you want to get oil all around that brass bushing there. You put some inside, and it's going to sink down, okay? So just set that aside and let it sink down a little bit. In the meantime, like I said, I like a little drop in here, just like that. And then we'll put a drop in the oiling hole. Ooh, that went down fast. And you can put around the spindle as well. Okay, and that is it, folks. That's all you got to do, okay? And this will guarantee you long, long life. Look how much that's spinning better. It's hilarious. Love it. All right, let's put it back together. Our blue mark right there and there. And I'm just going to just sop up a little bit of the extra here. You can always put more. You don't need a lot. And our bottom bearing, it has pretty much gone down. Our red mark is where? Our red mark's here. And our red mark is there. Just get your motor put back together just like that. Okay, hold her tight. Get your screws. Drop them in. Washer. Nut. Other side. Screw. Washer. Where'd you go? Did it go inside? Oh, man. Oh, I can't see. You guys are probably screaming at the thing right now. It's right there. Okay, are you blind? So I'm just going to rewind that. I'll be right back. Little sucker, eh? I found it. The beauty of video is that even if you... Actually, I found it with my eye, but the beauty of recording stuff is if you do lose something, it's on... I just threw that nut across the room. I'm 2 for 2 today. Just hang on a sec. Yeah, the beauty of video is that you'll know exactly where everything went. Unless it hit the floor and rolled away, which is, of course, a possibility. But so just tighten these up by hand first. Okay. The lock washer will pull it in. And then I like to give the lock washer, or the nut, just a little turn. to really seat that lock washer. Just like that. Okay, so lubricated motor, looking great. And we can put this back. Remember, we have our mark. It goes like this. So I've got a red mark there, a red mark there. Just like that. All right. Yeah, some people from Europe ask me about oils, and they can't get the 3-in-1 for motors, which I was surprised. They say you can get the regular one, and you don't want to use the regular 3-in-1, the red bottle, on electric motors. It has a tendency to gum up, so don't use that for motors. Perfect. Believe it or not, that's all we're going to do inside of this one, because we're going to lubricate the spindle, and that's from the top. So I'm going to put the base back on. We'll flip it over, and we'll continue on. Okay, welcome back up top here. Get the spindle out here. Real simple. I think this has been serviced at some point. There looks to be old grease, but someone has oiled it. So, let's clean. They didn't do a good job because they didn't remove the old grease. Unless the old grease has disintegrated into an oil. I don't know. I don't know the service history of this turntable. But we're going to clean it like we always do with some alcohol and a Q-tip. I'm just going to go in there and make sure we have everything out of there. I got to say that it didn't feel bad. It felt pretty good as far as the way the spindle was moving in there. It's not a good idea to mix two different kind of lubricants together. You definitely don't want to mix an oil and a grease. Okay. What are we going to use? We're going to use a 30 weight. And no, we're not going to use the 3-in-1 for this. We're going to use a 30 weight non-detergent here. That's what I've got right here. This one's made by Shell. Okay. A few drops in there. I think I got to fill up my oiling can. And then we're going to lubricate the shaft and drop it back into the well. That goes in really nice. So I just want to apologize. I did lose some footage of me going over some more maintenance items here as far as cleaning the motor spindle. What you want to do is you want to dip a Q-tip in alcohol. You want to turn your motor on, and you want to just clean off any belt residue from the motor spindle. Okay, that's one thing you want to do. And also, if we go down here, we want to get our platter. with a paper towel and some alcohol, and we want to clean the inner ring here to remove any belt residue as well. And while you're at it, depending on the condition of your belt, you may want to clean it with alcohol as well, because especially if it's shiny, you want to try to get rid of some of that shine. I mean, if you're planning on buying a new belt, that's a new story. Or if you just bought a new belt, don't worry about it. But if it's an older belt and it's still in decent condition, then give it a cleaning with alcohol, and you should be good to go. And then you can put everything back together. And with the magic of video editing, we're going to now give this thing a sound test. What you're looking at is the adjustment screw for the height. If you can see it, it is right there. It's a slotted screw, and we're going to loosen this and bring this up a little bit so that our arm returns back above where the armrest is. So that was one of the problems I noticed when we did our initial test. So I'm going to do that, and then we will do our sound test. All right, let's do our sound test here. Let's do a fully automatic test. Good. Sounds clear, no distortion. Sound in both channels, good stereo separation. No hum. Cueing works nicely. Check our auto return. Excellent. Now we're clearing that to armrest nicely. Arm setting down on it. And we're going to call this one done. Perfect. Another beautiful Pioneer turntable. PL-117D. Very nice. Fully automatic. Beautiful construction. The only thing I would change on it is the cartridge. But otherwise, this thing is all original. It needs nice cleaning, obviously. But this thing will spin for another 100 years, probably. Another gorgeous turntable. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in again. And we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.